Book of Lost Time. Somebody asked me to do a video about shamanism, and when I was in the bathtub, because the water tells me things, and the water told me to say these things, and that's what shamanism is. It's listening to the elements, to the water, the sun, the wind, the storms, the soil, what's growing, what isn't growing, what's dying, what isn't dying, what can be brought back to life through plants, through herbs, through incantations, through rituals, through dancing, through energy work, what can be brought back from the dead through plants, herbs, minerals, water, incantations, spells, rituals, dance, being in your body. And so many of those rituals became dark because of what men did. I'm talking the Book of Lost Time, before men wrote the Bible, before men had the printing press and said those things about the witches, and that the witches were evil and that the witches were devil. Before those things, before things were written, when there were cave paintings that showed female hunters, female artists, the graves with the warrior weapons, female warriors, female hunters. The best hunters, they find out, were the women. They had to feed the babies. They had to feed the children. Women were inventing fire, inventing language, building huts. Women were the providers and protectors. Women were the midwives. Women were the shamans. They could heal. They knew which potions and herbs could heal ailments, could prevent a miscarriage, could stop bleeding, could heal infections. And the men said, no, those are witches. Let's lock them up and burn them, and let's have men take over medicine. And female mortality rates, mothers' mortality rates plummeted when that happened. Women had to tell men to wash their hands, before touching, because the men were unclean and the rituals were unclean. Today is my daughter's birthday. She's 25 and she's an angel to me. But I remember lifetimes where she was taken from me while I was alive, and she was in my stomach. These are satanic rituals done by men where babies are cut out and eaten. And she's back as my angel back to me. But these are the rituals that are not spoken of, that are hidden in clearings, that still happen, satanic rituals that men are doing to women and to children, desecrating life, desecrating the woman's creation of life. So in the Book of Lost Time, the woman comes back whole. No babies are taken. Babies are restored to life, like my daughter is to me. And my dead cat, I've incarnated with her many lifetimes. In ancient Egypt, she was my Black Panther. I did rituals then too, sex and death rituals. It's generally about the male orgasm. The woman, no. And anyway, there's often death involved. But again, my cat is speaking to me, and somebody said, well, I did a video about the pumpkins. I have pumpkins from September, and here we are, April. It's like 7 months. Pumpkins aren't usually alive. My cat passed in November, so I'd had the pumpkins, and she's keeping them like they're not rotting, or they're rotting slowly. And she says when they're all rotten, then my big thing happens. But what it is with the pumpkins is this ritual where my daughter was cut out of me when I was pregnant. This is like probably like 1000 AD. It was like a Halloween type ritual, under that full moon. And so I've always been very disturbed, like when my husband carves pumpkins. The cutting into the pumpkin and the lifting out of the insides of the pumpkin has always been very triggering to me. And so my cat is saying, like, I've healed that wound about the pumpkins. And my daughter is back, and my cat is, we're whole, we're restored. What's happening now is divine feminine is being restored and letting go of her fear. She's letting go of her fear, which has been held in our bodies from these rituals, ritual deaths, taking of babies, rape, war, the things that men have done to subjugate women, to control their bodies. And what it's about now is the woman controlling her body. And also it's about the female orgasm, which we used to have sacred sexuality. And my big divine feminine project, which it's a past life recall novel, it will be an epic TV series, which will be global because people need to hear these messages about the divine feminine. But it's about a divine feminine, Donatella, who is multi-orgasmic. And this, of course, was used against her. She was called dirty and crazy and, whatever. But it cleared the energy which the men would give her. It cleared that energy, and she always had a good time instead of just the men using women's bodies for their good time and for the woman's death and denigration. So this is, somebody said, what is shamanism? And it's our bodies healing, de-aging, restoring pH levels, healing wounds, karmic wounds, psychic wounds, wounds that are held in our psyches, in our bodies, in our DNA, and restoring and repairing that for all the ancestors and all the divine feminine to rise in without fear. And this is, I hope that explains somewhat what I feel shamanism is. And yeah, women, take your rightful place as queens of the world.